I love that we are on the land raising happy cows and happy sheep and creating that connection and community to bring people into the farm to show them what we're doing.
This is The Producers. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Keen to escape the city life, Astrid Birt took over the family property in rural Western Australia, where she is now raising a young family, cattle, sheep and chickens on a small-scale regenerative farm.
My name's Astrid Birt and I'm from Fresh Tracks Farm in the Nala-Kalabuja region, southwest of Western Australia, on 100 acres. We have only been in the farming sort of industry for about 6 years, but it's sort of runs in my family. My dad grew up on the farm next door to where we're living right now. We've been here for about a year, and he was running primarily a dairy farm as a kid and grew up there. Over time, the property has been vacant. As Dad grew up, him and his siblings had no intentions of being farmers, so they went off to the city and went to uni and did their own careers. And our farm that we're on now has been vacant since then. Over time, the property, so over 300 acres, have been sold off, and next door we have a horse farm. We also have a vegetable cropping farm further down, and this farm was only kept because it had a plane runway on it. So my granddad used to fly planes, and our shed used to have an airplane in it. When I was growing up, I didn't really care too much for farming either. I always thought that this property was a little bit boring. We never came to it. I wasn't interested in farming or farm animals at all, and I never was really exposed to it. But following COVID, my husband and I, or Matthew, decided to move away from Perth and come down to the farm. And we're really starting with a blank slate here in terms of my skills and experience, and Matt's as well. But it's been a real meeting point for both of our families, and I've been able to learn a lot from my dad about farming. We didn't go down the dairy route though. We decided to run cattle and sheep, and we're regeneratively farming cattle and sheep now. And our product is grass-fed and finished beef and lamb.
Mylap in WA is ideal for farming cattle and sheep, allowing Astrid and her family to give them their best life.
The region itself, there's really good cattle grazing country. We also run Dorper sheep. Our sheep are run on the first, third of our 100 acres, which is quite sandy and dry and not very good for cattle. The other side of our farm is perfect for rotationally grazing our cattle, and we get a pretty good grass cover with our regime of rotationally grazing our cows. A third of our farm is actually made up of wetland, and we've chosen to block that off from our livestock, and we've made it our mission, and my dad's mission as well, to restore the wetland back to how it was originally. It's been cleared over time, so Dad has memories of playing in the wetland with little canoes and climbing the trees, and was vividly remembers all the trees being cleared to farm. And over time, we have had numerous tree planting days and grant funding to restore our wetland, and it's sort of coming back now. I hope that when my kids are old enough, they'll be able to have a few trees to play on as well. And that's looking really good. That's a big part of our mission on this farm, is to restore that wetland back to its original condition. And we're seeing the benefits of that with all the animals with all the animals coming back to the native vegetation as well. I suppose the region, what's great about the region is there's a really wonderful community that are getting around the way that we're farming. Are really interested in regenerative farming and wanting to know the story about where their food is coming from. We are really meeting people who want to shorten their supply chains and increase local food security, especially post-COVID, where the security of food wasn't very Sorry, stuff that bit up. I suppose what's great about the region is that we're really creating a little community of people who are really interested in hearing the story behind their food, wanting to come out to the farm and meet us and pick up their meat boxes directly from us and seeing where their food is coming from, how it's raised. And we have chemical and pesticide-free pastures here. We rotate our cattle, and I think they can really see the benefits and are happy to support local farmers that are trying to also look after the farm whilst producing food.
For Astrid, the move to farming was the chance to start a family and raise kids in the country.
So I have a background in environmental management, science communication and education, and I'm also an artist, so I've got lots of things that I could be doing, and in a way the farm is kind of tying all those things together so I can do a little bit of all of them. And my husband is a marine scientist and currently still is working in that field whilst also working on the farm. And after COVID, his work allowed for more flexible work arrangements, so we could move away from Perth and actually consider starting our life on the farm here. We really wanted to move away from the city to start our family and have our kids growing up on farm. We were always interested in gardening and vegetable gardening, and we had a little bit of a vegetable garden on our urban block up in Perth. But really the pull was to get our kids out of the city and be growing up raising animals and knowing where their food comes from and getting that connection really into growing their own and consuming our own food. It's a bit interesting time that we started the farm. We were starting with a blank slate. We just had a boundary fence, and we came in with guns blazing thinking that we were going to do all this wonderful restoration work. And we had a big tree planting day with my husband Matt's work. Everyone came down. We planted about 600 trees. It was a wonderful day. And we noticed a couple of days later all the cows had gone into the wetland and had eaten and trampled on all of the trees that we had planted. So we had to slow it down a little bit and decide to fence off that wetland area before we ran any more tree planting days. So not many of those trees actually made it past the initial planting day. Unfortunately, we had to learn the hard way. We had a number of cows going in and eating swans' nests as well, so the swans didn't come back to visit for a year or two after that. But we're happily seeing them back now, returning once the cows can't make their way into the wetland to eat.
Astrid did a lot of research and was very specific about the type of cattle and sheep to work with.
We have Murray grey cattle, and they, apart from being beautiful to look at, they're very gentle in nature. And they're easy to work with once they get familiar with the polywire fencing. They always get excited when we come out to move the fence to let them through to the next section of the paddock. Our Dorper sheep, although they are self-shedding, which is very handy, they're very good at escaping and don't like to stay in the fencing areas as much as the cattle, so they're a little bit cheeky. We have an orphan sheep that we raised as well called Lambie, who lives out in the paddock with our sheep, and she thinks she's a dog. So she likes to teach all the other sheep how to get over the fences. So we've moved her away, and she's sort of living as our pet with our alpacas at the moment, just because she keeps leading these sheep astray. But we do have Dorpers because they are self-shedding. They also produce really delicious lamb, and our Murray Greys are nice and gentle and have a wonderful temperament to handle because we are out making contact with our cows nearly every day, so they're very friendly.
While her husband still works full-time, Astrid is on the farm running cattle, sheep, chickens, and the kids too.
The typical day is mixed. Matt is still working full-time as a marine scientist. I am currently with 2 children under 3, so the amount that we can get done with the kids is limited, as I'm sure most people would understand. It's a lot slower. little farm jobs they are getting more interested in and more competent in helping me out with. We're running egg-laying chickens just for our own use. We've got 50 meat chickens that we are breeding as well in Salatin-style chicken tractors. And we also have alpacas that we all have to look after every day. Apart with the cows, though, we do have to take turns in going out and moving the cows and checking on the sheep and moving the sheep, as that's something that isn't safe for the kids to do just because of the unpredictable nature of children and electric fences and animals. So it is a bit of a balancing act at the moment. They are getting older though, and we do have them off farm 2 times a week. So a typical day for me now, I've just gone out to tend to our egg chickens and meat chickens and egg laying chickens and our alpacas, and I'll head across now over to the cows and move the cows, set up some new fences for the week. I'll feed the cows hay because it's quite dry at the moment. There's not enough fresh pasture for them to eat. We're hoping that it will grow again quite soon because it's starting to get cooler, and we've had a couple of rain events here in the last couple of weeks. And then fixing fences pretty much and moving sheep and making sure everyone's where they want to be. I've just had a look out of the window before I've jumped on to speak to you, and a couple of our calves have gone under the fences and the mums have pushed under as well to chase them. The calves are really curious and they're very small, so they can fit under a single strand of electric polywire, and they've run to the other side of the farm, and the mother cows are not happy with that. So they followed. So really putting everyone back where they're supposed to be. Another big part of my day is I'm also an artist, so I've been painting as well and starting to get back into painting. I've been painting, taking inspiration from around the farm as well. So all the native birds that I see here, I've painted our cows a few times, and hopefully we'll get through our list of animals to be featured in my paintings.
Once she got the farm up and running, Astrid researched the needs of customers and put a plan into action.
We really started without too much knowledge on direct marketing to producers. We had to work with our shire just to find out what was actually required of us to be able to do that legally and properly. We went to markets to get a gauge of interest about who would be interested in our meat boxes, and we currently provide 10 kilo grass-fed and finished beef boxes and also half lamb boxes, and that's evolving over time just due to customer demand and also logistics for us in terms of the cost of producing that box and trying to work out the value that people are willing to pay, but also the cost that it's taking us to produce that product. We can't process our meat on farm. That's probably the same requirements for most farms in Australia. We need to still be reliant on local abattoirs and butchers. So we're really one of the cogs in the wheels to getting our product to market. People often think when we talk to them that we do everything on farm. We ideally, in the future, if we could get mobile abattoirs to come to our farm to process on farm ethically, that would sit really well with our values that we have here. But it's just too very far away at this stage. We need to get our cows from the farm to the abattoir, to the butchers, and then either back to our farm for customer pickup, or we have a number of pickup points that we meet at in our local area where people will come and meet us and pick up their product. And like I said before, we have a great community of people that love to come to the farm to pick up their box from us to see where their food is coming from, but also to connect with their local farmer. I think that community aspect is becoming more and more important to people now, and getting that feel-good feeling from picking up from a local farmer is getting more and more popular.
The move to the farm has allowed Astrid to explore nose-to-tail eating and open her eyes to new and interesting cuts.
I've really been interested in the nose-to-tail eating, something that I haven't really had much experience with before. But when we're processing a whole cow or a whole sheep, you often get cuts that you're not quite sure what to do with it, and they've often become the best meals that we've had and enjoyed together. So things like briskets and ossobuco, all those slow cooking cuts have been wonderful to have on the farm in winter, and really putting that in the middle of the table and having that as a learning experience for all people that are having dinner with us, and showing them that you don't always need to have a sirloin steak or the best cut of the cow to have a wonderful meal.
There are many challenges in farming, but the challenges for small producers getting access to abattoirs puts a strain on the whole process.
So even though we're our own small operation, we're still reliant on quite big conglomerates to process our produce in the correct way. We've had a few accessibility issues recently with the access to abattoirs. Pulling access for small farmers, which has now been reversed, but it's also going to be a continued uncertainty going forward in the future about whether we should scale up or put in the capital to scale up, as we're still reliant on big abattoirs and also butchers to process our product. And in an instant economy at the moment, which I feel like we're living in, I wonder whether people will always prioritise coming and picking up from the farm or from pickup points. At the moment, there's quite a lot of companies popping up which are doing wonderful things and amazing things, that you can order your beef box or your lamb box and have it delivered to you in a few hours or the next day straight to your doorstep. And that's coming from over east, and a few are popping up in our local area. So we're really at the stage now where we're quite small. We are processing about 6 times a year at the moment. So we'll have pickup points probably half a dozen times per year. And I saw that you've interviewed Jake Walke, which we follow quite closely as well. He talks about the grey area between hobby farms and large-scale producers, which means to me that I suppose our fixed costs remain the same. So we have to hire freezer trailers to transport our meat boxes. We have to hire truck drivers to come and pick up our cattle. At the moment, we're sending away probably 2 to 3 steers at a time, which is what we can manage, just our family to process for ourselves and for customers. But really those costs are going to stay the same whether we're sending 3 cows or 12, which will fit in the truck. So working at a small scale does get us money, but it might not be enough money to be sustainable. So we're really at the stage now where we need to think about whether we do invest that capital and scale up to make it worthwhile, not only to produce food for our local community, which is valuable for us and them, but also make it worthwhile, possibly in the future, to make it worthwhile for one of us to do it as a full-time career. But at the moment, we're kind of juggling between 2 potential jobs, child minding and marine science, and also running the farm. So we're at a bit of a tipping point at the moment, and there's a few things that are uncertain that we really need to work out whether it will continue to be uncertain in the future. So we have our website. It's www.freshtracksfarm.com.au. We also have Instagram, which we post what we're doing on there quite a lot, and also post when we do have product available. I'm really excited to be offering some education programs in the future, and we'll keep that on the telling our story through social media about the updates with that as well.
For Astrid, farming is not only the opportunity to raise kids in the country, but has also given her a greater connection and understanding about food.
I think farming has really changed the way that I see food. I don't see food as a convenience thing now. We grow, or we try to grow, a lot of our food here. In a way, growing cattle and lamb is much easier than growing vegetables. We're starting a vegetable garden for our own family, and I'm enjoying that a lot, but I find that it makes me have a really good appreciation for where our produce comes from, as I'm finding it very hard to grow against the elements and against the pests that are trying to eat my broccoli every day. So I suppose the farm has given me more of a connection to my food. It's also given us a sense of community. We, even though don't have any very close neighbours, we find that creating this farm and having this product has really brought people to our space, where we can have that sense of community, something that is, while on maternity leave and being away from the workplace, is sometimes feeling a little bit lacking. And I suppose it's really made me feel good about the difference that we're making and the childhood that we're giving our children.
The career diversion has given Astrid a new perspective on life and allowed her to immerse herself in all her other interests other than farming too.
I love being outside. I wonder if it's in my blood. Being out on the quad, learning how to drive tractors, move hay, fix fences has been really rewarding, and seeing the difference of our farming practices on the land just in 6 years has been really rewarding, and I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I'm proud that our families have a place that we can come and work together and make a bit of change in the face of a climate crisis, to really be farming in a way that's helping the soil and enhancing biodiversity, restoring wetlands, and really sharing the story of what we're doing through social media and through the people that we meet that pick up our product. I think that's why we're really doing what we're doing, is because we want to tell that story of the way that this type of farming can really benefit to not only the community eating nutrient-dense food, but also the environment and sustainability. I love just having the opportunity to learn something new, have a bit of a career diversion at this stage of my life. I have the option on the farm, which is wonderful, to start educating children and adults. Potentially in our 5-year plan, we want to run workshops to teach skills on farming and growing produce and preserving produce. I love that I have the scope to do that in my future. I have a lot to learn before then, and there's a lot to sort out before then, but I suppose I love the openness of it, the opportunities that could be there. And for now, I love that we are on the land raising happy cows and happy sheep and creating that connection and community to bring people into the farm to show them what we're doing.
Fresh Tracks Farm is a good news story like no other, where a small family is not only living out their best lives in the country, but they're giving that to the land and the animals they raise too. This is The Producers, a Deep in the Weeds production. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we share the stories of producers, farmers, makers and growers, the true lifeblood of the food industry. Follow us on Instagram at Producers Podcast, or email us at producerspodcast@deepintheweeds.com.au.